Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to part 2 of the new Rivals core box set, Hunters and Hunted. This is, of course, Vampires The Masquerade, but we're also adding Hunter The Recking from the World of Darkness. So if you haven't checked out part 1, for whatever reason, we go over the 2 vampire clans and kind of do a quick skim through the rulebook. I did mention in there that even if you've played the game before or you own the original core set, you're not sure if you want this because you don't know if you want these clans or the hunters or whatever, I would at least recommend downloading or reading through the new rulebook. It has all the rules in one place. It's a fantastic thing there. So we also went through the city deck in that. So we went through the 2 vampire clans, the Ministry and the Caitiff. And then we went through the Rio de Janeiro city deck. So in this one, we're going to go through the Hunters, the Monster deck, and the Crypt. I wanted to save the Crypt for last since it has cards from all 4 different groups of characters. And I wanted to save the Hunters for their own video because they have special rules. So we're going to take a look at those. And I'm not going to get too super in-depth to every single little part, but we just want to make sure we hit on some of the big basics here. So they have, so there's some words the hunters use that essentially function the exact same as the vampires. Hideouts are equal to haven, cells are their coterie, recovery is Kapoor, creed is clan. So it says, for example, the vampire targets all cards in a haven. It also targets a hunter's hideout. So I think the reason they did this is because this is a crossover set between the 2, and I don't know if in the future they're going to keep doing like crossover sets, like a 2-pack where it's like 1 vampire, 1 hunter, or if they're going to maybe jump into just doing some hunter sets. Then this way, like if they release that as a game, people can just play as hunters, then all the hunter cards will be using all the same rules. Plus, it makes sense because they're going to call things different. The deck building's basically the exact same, with very few things. Faction decks do not mix vampires and hunters. Hunters can have mixed different hunter creeds, or like vampires can mix different clans, but you can't mix a hunter and a vampire together. Only hunter decks may use hunter cards which are tagged with an H in the lower corner. So some of the new cards are going to have H's. I think every single card in the hunter decks has H's on them. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure they do. But we did see in the first video, some of them have H and V. These are ones that can be hunters or vampires. It's presumed that all cards from previous sets are just for vampires only. So that's the thing. This is a really neat idea for a core set, but unless they add more hunter sets, they're like right now their deck is limited to 2 characters. Unlike a core set for the original vampire, which had 4 different ones, and that had expansion right off the bat. So hopefully they come out with some more. They also start with a different leader token. It says party get +1 secrecy, but then after they've attacked something or affected too many things, they can flip it over to the 1 influence like everyone else. So they can kind of hide, get a chance to like build up their resources a little bit easier early on. They also have edges. So their edges are essentially the vampire disciplines, which are the little red diamonds they have on their cards. But they have, right now they only have 6 different ones: Beast Whisperer, Global Access, Library, Repel the Unnatural, Sense the Unnatural, and Thwart the Unnatural. But hunters tend to have more edges than vampires have disciplines. So all vampires have 1, 2, 3 disciplines. And it's usually the higher cost ones have 3, then like the medium costs have 2, the lower costs have 1. The hunters can have up to 4 at a time. And there's going to be a lot more that have a lot more, because they're learned skills as opposed to inherited traits. Because a vampire can only inherit so much. The newer they are, they maybe haven't learned all the ways and all that type of stuff. It's just more edges will be in future expansions. The fact is that there's future expansions is always a good thing. So that's pretty cool too. So another new thing here is, in a very different way, and this is a big key for playing hunters, is recruiting and how they get defeated. So since hunters are fragile, they need some help in recruiting. Hunter characters can be recruited using prestige personal supply just like vampires are. But when a hunter does this, they draw a card. So they get an extra card for getting acquired. Hunters cannot claim a burn or attack reward, but they can find new recruits from among the city deck mortals. So they're not, they can recruit the mortals rather than taking their abilities. It says, if you defeat a city deck mortal, you may then recruit a character from your hand at no action with a prestige discount based on the blood of the defeated mortal. 2 for a vagrant, 3 for a citizen, 4 for an antagonist. So basically, the higher level mortal you beat, you can convert them into one of your other characters, essentially, for a discounted price. So if I defeat a vagrant for 2, and my guy normally costs 3, I only have to pay 1 difference. So that's kind of fun. If you're recruiting an antagonist, you defeat it, it goes into until they go in their correct discard piles for defeating. But that's a really extra way for them to, like, get more guys out a little bit quicker, because they're a little bit more fragile. And the recovery is why they're a little bit more fragile. Did we skip over recovery? No. It jumps into monsters. I don't want to talk about monsters yet. I want to talk about recovery. 1 sec. Alright, so the last one for recruiting, I did skip over there. So it says, put the remaining blood, if any, on the newly recruited hunter from your personal supply. So again, this should be like where I said, if I defeated a vagrant that cost 2, and I had a character that cost 3, the difference should be 1. So I get to recruit them for 1, but that character only starts with 1 health. So basically, they start weaker, but you can heal them back up, various other effects. But it is at least a way to get your characters out a little bit quicker. But there is a kind of downside to that, which is the other big fragile part of hunters. Recovery. Big difference between vampires and humans. Hunters is humans are fragile and death at a moment's notice. So when a non-leader hunter is defeated, you burn them. So yes, although you can recruit them a lot quicker and a lot cheaper, if you recruit them that cheaper when they start less health, they're going to die quicker, and once they're dead. A hunter the leader token is defeated by non-aggravated damage. They go into recovery. Follow all the rules. So that'd be the only thing I have to worry about is if they get defeated by aggravated damage. They could be completely eliminated. So hunters can get killed a lot quicker, which is why we have the secrecy right off the bat. So that's one of the big things with hunters. The other thing to bring up before we get into there are monsters. So monsters are threats that roam the street and hide in other places. So you can see on their card they have health, different stats, their reward, all that different stuff. So they have most of the same characteristics as vampires and hunters, few differences. They don't have disciplines and edges. They are worth agenda when defeated. They enter the streets face down. So this is the big one. Face down monsters are not character, face up ours. Cards that target character cannot target a face down. So they come in secret and you don't know what they're going to be. They do have a special back on them, so you can tell what a monster is. So it's not like they're hiding amongst other cards. So basically here's how they set up for that. We're going to go over this before we get into the cards. Player collects all 10 monster cards, shuffle them, place 2 monsters per hunter face down into a monster deck. So if you're playing with this set and you had two hunters, you have 4 cards basically out. Then the other one's stuck aside. If there are no hunter players, all 10 onion monsters sit aside because the city event deck in Rio does actually possibly make them appear. So from this monster deck, place 1 monster face down the street for each hunter player. Then neutral cards not assigned to any player. When the event is revealed from the city deck, except during the first player's turn, add 1 monster from the monster deck face down into the street. If there are no hunter players, place all monster decks off to the side. They're all unused. So they're going to keep coming and appearing and trying to mess with stuff. And this kind of makes it a little bit different. So if we just get like hunter full sets, you're going to have a lot more monster interaction versus when you have vampires mixed in. All hunters have the hunter keyword, so this is listed on them. Also grants all hunters the investigation ability, which may be used during the action phase. To do what? Exhaust X ready hunters you control in the streets. Put X prestige on your general supply onto target non-monster character you do not control or a face-down monster. So basically you can investigate something you can see or a monster. Hunter player may use the ability any number of times. Activate ability not following hunters. Blah, blah, a bunch of other stuff there. I don't want to get through all of it. So prestige on characters and monsters. Once you have at least 3 prestige on of your color on a face-down monster, you may peek at that card at any time. This allows you to see what monster you're going to fight before you fight it. You're investigating. You're kind of hunting it, as it would be. So if prestige is on a character you do not control, hunter, vampire, or monster, it may be spent only when directly interacting with that character. It can be used to pay for one-time activated abilities. Place prestige this way back in your general supplies. You may spend prestige in your personal supply. So basically, you have a way to put prestige on characters to show that you're specifically targeting that character or characters or cards. Or monsters, you can try and investigate. You can see if you want to attack it, because you don't want to flip it over thinking you're fighting like a simple vampire. Well, all of a sudden you're fighting a werewolf. You might not be prepped for that. Attacking a monster. Falls are basically making an attack roll, except for a couple exceptions. The first attack against a monster is made while the monster is face down. Attacking a face-down monster is blocked by another player. The monster is not flipped up, so someone could block that from happening. If the attack is not blocked, the monster makes a preemptive strike against the attacker. So basically, the monsters get to hit you beforehand when you flip them over. So it's kind of like, even though you've been hunting and seeking them down, they get to attack first. Monsters don't care about secrecy. Preemptive strikes don't exhaust the monster. All exhausted monsters still make preemptive strikes and preemptive strikes happen during all attacks against the monster. So every time you attack a monster, it's going to get to hit you first. They're bigger and stronger generally than a human hunter. Your attack is temporarily not an attacker, but becomes your target defender. And then you do a bunch of stuff to resolve it. I don't want to go through all of that necessarily in here. This is the very first successful attack against this monster. You tag it. So if you survive your strike, you do it. An attack that tags a monster deals superficial damage. So this is the other thing. You can't even kill it on the first time. So first you attack a monster, they attack you first. Then if you survive, you tag it. So you can do damage to it, but you can't defeat it in one turn. You have to come back and defeat it a second time. But also does not need to be deal damage, as long as you've done something to it. And it says, monster is wounded when it has blood equal to half or less BP. So there's some things they'll recommend, say if they're wounded. So tag monsters, so it does have this. No other player may attack a monster, still remove blood from it, or deal damage to your tagged monster. So this gets you the advantage of tagging them, because you also get the extra agenda from it. A foe may target your tagged monster with effects that don't deal damage, such as targeted or group mending, or with reaction cards. Yeah, so there, and then it goes through and breaks down some more of that stuff about attacking a monster and doing all that, which you can read the rules for that. I just kind of want to go over that. Hunter end turn sequence. There's a minor addition to Hunter's end phase. Each monster you have tagged attacks one of your hunters. So again, besides attacking them, then they also attack you again. But this doesn't attack a specific character, like the one that attacked. It attacks one of your characters. You must choose one of your characters to get attacked. So hunters are very interesting by all of that different stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff in here as well for how monsters work, and we're not too worried about that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop into the cards. Alright, so before we jump into our first hunters, we do have some player aid cards. We have general aid cards, which are always nice to have. Explain basically how your essential gameplay goes. Your attack types, your attack, how that all works. But then they also have one specific for hunters, which is really nice to have. So it just mentioning your recruiting, that you get your extra card, defeating city mortals, your recovery, your investigating, and then if we flip it over, it explains monsters. So it's really nice to just have these extra little tip cards in games like this. Alright, so we're going to hop into our hunters. We're going to start off with the Inquisitive Hunters. I do find it kind of funny that the hunters have H's on the bottom. Like, a hunter player card can only be included in a hunter deck, which makes sense. It's kind of funny. But we have Ryan here. So now you can see one other kind of big difference right now versus the vampires. They have the same stats kind of on their cards, so they look the same there. Just to keep it all the same. But then they have only like 4. Most vampires start with at bare minimum 5 up to 6 and 7 usually for their leader card. These guys start a little bit cheaper. Alright, so Ryan here as attacker. At the end of this attack, you may pay 1 prestige. Attach your attack to the target. Interesting. So we get attach an attack card to that target. It's probably to use it later. I would imagine that's what that does. We'll probably see what some of their specific cards do. It also can attach to them, and that takes up their attack limit for 3 cards, right? So I could limit other things they could do as well. We have Maria Lopez. Exhaust, pay 1 prestige, deal 1 social damage to target creature for each curse attached to it. A curse is any card attached to a character that has a negative effect or a hindrance. So our previous character just attached an attack to it. Now it becomes a curse on a character because it's not a beneficial card for them. So that's kind of a good combo between the two of them. We have Francisco, Hunter, and Guard. Pay 1 prestige. This character has +2 block. This attack. We have Sarah. Hunter, I don't know why I keep reading their Hunter. They're all Hunters. When you exhaust this character to investigate, add 1 additional prestige to the target from your general supply. Ooh, that's very good. Rio. Attack. This attack deals +1 damage to the target for every 2 curses attached to it. Juliana. Party characters in your party have +1 defense during your action phase. And finally, we have Jamie. This character may be exhausted to investigate while in their hideout. So that's kind of cool. You guys don't have to be in the streets to investigate, so you can kind of sit back and help protect you. Alright, then we have our agendas. This does have H and V, so both players can use it. Observe and report. When you attach a card to a card you do not control, gain 1 agenda. Very simple. There's a lot of other vampire decks that would love that too. Then we do have hideouts. Now, hideouts are strictly for heroes. Back Alley Clinic. Now, this is one change here, is that +1 secrecy versus a Vampire's Haven has... Oh, they do have +1 secrecy. It says characters in your Haven have +1 secrecy. Where this one says your characters have 1 secrecy. So it helps them no matter where they are. Again, this is to help make it harder for your hunters to be defeated. When a character you control is defeated by non-aggravated damage, if you control no characters in recovery, you may put the defeated character in recovery. Oh, this is almost like necessary for these guys, right? Because otherwise, only your leader can be in recovery, so I can help you get your other guys back. That's awesome. Alright. Then we have, for the Inquisitive, we have 3 copies of Way Down. That's just target characters. This character deals -1 damage when attacking characters you control. Sweet. I like the fact that they show them fighting monsters, like as opposed to just vampires. Yes, they can attack the vampires, but they're monster hunters more than just vampires. So it can make for some interesting new sets. We have 3 copies of Tracking Device. That's a fiery horse with no head. Attach this card to target character or face down monster. Hunters have +1 intel against this character. At the end of your turn, put 1 prestige from your general supply on this character. Nice. 2 copies of Take Careful Notes. Ongoing, when you attach a card to a character you do not control, put 1 prestige from your general supply on that character. Or burn this card, that character's controller loses 1 agenda. So a very interesting and notable thing to point out with these Hunter cards. There's a lot of stuff that's putting extra agenda on. By doing your Hunter ability to investigate, you're putting agenda on them. And yes, it's from the general supply, but it's only your stuff from general supply. You have a limited amount of that you can use. So if you put too many and have too many things going on, and you're essentially spreading yourself thin, you're going to get to the point where you might not be able to use them for other effects that may require them. So it's just something to keep in mind. 2 copies of Founded Weakness. Does superficial damage. Deal 1 physical damage to target character for each prestige or color on it. This damage cannot be removed. Move the last token on this character, so superficial. If they have that Hunter edge, I think it's sensing them, if I remember right. Yeah, sense the unnatural. They gain 1 extra damage. That's actually really fun. Just straight up deal 1 damage, potentially 2 damage. It can't kill them, but at least it can start damaging them. We have 3 copies of Drive. I like this as an idea. Drive is like the vampires had the traditions. These are their kind of ideas. What's driving these hunters to do what they do? We have Curiosity. You're just curious. Which goes with the Inquisitive group. Attach to a character in your cell, max 1. If that character has the data trait, which is the library. It's a book, of course, not a floppy disk. Gain 1 unhosted action. When you exhaust this character, investigate, add 1 additional supply to the target from your general supply. Nice. So here's who I would equip that to. He has the library book. So basically, you equip it, you gain your action back. And then now when you exhaust him, but he can sit at your hideout, you gain 1 additional one. So that'd be a great way to utilize him. We have 2 copies of Anonymous Tip. For the world symbol, which I think is global. I'm gonna flip my book over here so I can see these. Global access. Pay 2 prestige for each antagonist in the streets, deal 1 aggravated damage to target monster. Nice, so those guys are kind of helping you out. 2 copies of Man's Best Friend, which is our Beast Whisperer. Attached to target acting character. When the character would be defeated, burn this card instead and place 1 health on this character. They are not defeated. Oh, nice. So basically it leaves you with one hit point by sacrificing your animal friend. We have 3 copies of Give 'em the Bird. Use only in the streets. Attach this card to target character. At the start of this character's turn, this character loses 1 health. Nice. You just, little minor damages here and there. We have 3 copies of Ready and Waiting, a target and a physical reaction. Global access, put 1 prestige from your generous supply onto the attacker. Nice. That way you can do some extra stuff to them. We have 3 copies of Get Into Its Mind. Social and mental reaction. For the library, pay 2 prestige. The attacker's attack becomes superficial. Oh, that could be very helpful. 3 copies of Well Prepared. Reaction Special. A defender you control may play this against any type of monster attack. Pay 1 prestige to gain 1 defense. Nice. I don't think we've seen repel or thwart edges on any of these cards yet. So interesting. We got this card, which is fun because it's a hero and villain. Hunter and Vampire card. Release the Hounds. So you can pay. It's a physical attack. Play this card face up. Using either the animalism or Beast Whisperer traits or disciplines or edges to pay 1 to deal +1 damage. So that's kind of cool. when they have cards that can be combined. 2 copies of Social Engineering, Social Attack, put 2 prestige from a general supply on target. 3 copies of Confuse, Mental Attack, pay 1 prestige, this attack deals +1 damage to the target. For sensitive natural, after this attack, you may attach it to the target. And then our last cards are 3 copies of Get the Drop. When revealed, you may attach your library card from your hand face down to the target. Pay 2 prestige, +1 damage to the target for each curse attached to the target. That's really cool. They get to play around with that essential curse keyword that they came up with, and do a bunch of stuff attaching things. Yeah, really interesting. I like the fact that pretty much all the cards are just hunters for now. And then we have a few cards that are going to be mixed. It'll be more exciting, again, to definitely see what they come up with for expansions for these. And if they add more monsters every time, or if monsters are going to kind of be like the city decks, where they add them every couple of sets and just add like a new set of monsters. Or if they just have you mix all of them together and then, because essentially you're only drawing X number per thing, so we'll kind of see how that goes. Alright, let's jump into our other group, is we have the Faithful. I just realized I didn't actually read what these groups do like I did with the vampires, so let's jump back and do that really quick. So for Inquisitive, it says, these hunters are happy to study a monster's area to kill it. With enough information, they will have a myriad of options by defeating the beast, attaching various cards to a monster that can survive encounters with it, and softening up until they're ready to make a decisive blow. The Inquisitive are also masters of investigation. The more they know about the monster, the sweeter their victory. And then we're going to look at the Faithful. These hunters look towards the heavens and other places for inspiration and courage when facing the unknown. The religious zealots, they will gladly die for their cause if it pleases the Almighty, and ensure victory against the forces of darkness. When not all practitioners are true holy warriors, they can gain true faith as danger increases. The Faithful have access to powerful relics to aid the pure of heart. So it's kind of interesting. We have the Faithful hunters against the Ministry, which are kind of the religious vampires. And then, when we have the Caitiff, which are kind of like random vampires, versus the Inquisitive, which are like, we're trying to figure out what's going on. It's kind of cool. Alright, so here we have Evangeline. So she has the little no symbol on the bottom there, which is repel the unnatural. The arrows repel the... I lost my page where it explains what these all are. Is thwart the unnatural, so we're going to have kind of focused on them. I'm sure they'll probably not have the animal one as much, I would imagine, or maybe the global axis kind of be the 2 differences between them. So she also has true faith. So that's a new special ability, which I haven't seen. Let me see if they have that one listed in here. Alright, so True Faith is sort of like Hunter. This is more or less a keyword for a specific type of hunter. So the cards that reference it. Alright, so Evangeline here has Party. Attackers in this party deal +1 damage to the targets if it has +1 of your prestige color on them. Nice, so it's kind of cool. And then we have Tolkienhole, who has Guard. When this character in your cell is defeated, ready each character in your cell. Florencia, attacker, pay 1 prestige. This attack does +2 damage to target. Use only if their preemptive strike defeated a character in your cell. Interesting. So you get, it's kind of a risky thing. You're going to do some extra damage to them, definitely, but only if you lost someone. It sounds like that's what these guys are willing to do. We have Sister Claire. A party exhaust. This attack does +1 to the target. Predator. If ready, relentless. Unless you can use it on your opponent's turn. Pay 1 prestige. Move to the streets to block a foe's non-ranged attack against any target. So he's gonna jump in front of a bullet. Gotcha. Andres. Hunter, when this character is burned, target foe loses 1 agenda. And finally, we have Noriko. When this character is defeated, draw a card. So these guys are basically going to get bonuses for them being destroyed, which goes great with their agenda. Martyrdom. When a character you control is burned, gain 1 agenda. So now, this is only for hunters, though. But now that I'm curious on how this is going to work is because you only have 7 characters. So I don't know how you're going to get... You're obviously going to have some other way to gain agenda, because at most you could lose 6, which is half. Otherwise, if you lose your... I mean, I guess you could potentially... No, because you can't burn. It's burn. Yeah, you lose 6 of your characters. You have to find other ways to recruit more people. So definitely see how that's going to work out with this. Their hideout is the Fellowship Hall. All your characters have your 1 secrecy. The first time you recruit a character during each of your turns, gain 1 unhosted action. So gain extra actions for recruiting characters. We have their specific cards, 3 copies of True Faith. Attached to a character in your cell, this character has True Faith and +1 blood potency. So we'll go back and we look at this. We had Evangeline had True Faith, and that was it. Nobody else, I think, had True Faith, right? They're all just hunters. So yeah, any cards that affect True Faith, you're going to have to get these 3 copies of True Faith out to be able to use them. So very interesting that that's a specific thing you have to do. But they're going to work very well with these special relics. So we have 2 copies of Thorn from the Crown. Action relic, ongoing, and 1 per player. Ongoing exhaust, pay 1 prestige. A True Faith attacker you control deals +1 damage to the target. And you could potentially deal 3 True Faiths. You could have essentially 4 of them in your out in play. We have 1 copy of the Blood of Saint Dominic. Exhaust each True Faith character you control mends 1. This help keep your specific guys alive. And the 1 copy of the Bone of Apostle James. Exhaust ready target True Faith character you control. So if you can get your True Faith cards out and get these, you can make some pretty powerful characters. But it requires some planning and keeping your cards out. We have 3 copies of Poison Pill, which also can be used by vampires. Attached to a character in your cell. When this character is defeated during an attack, deal 2 aggravated damage to opposing character or target foe loses 1 agenda. Oh, nice. That's pretty sweet. 3 copies of Wrath. Deal 1 mental damage to target foe for each of your burned characters. And if you have the reaction, deal +1 additional damage. We have 3 copies of Drive. So you have another Drive in here. We have Vengeance. Attached to a character in your cell. Attacker. This character deals +1 damage to the target for each of your 2 burned characters. So these guys are going to do extra damage as your characters are burned. We just gotta figure out how to burn more people. Or not burn them, I guess. 3 copies of Atonement attached to a character in your cell. This character has Guard and +1 defense versus physical damage. When this character blocks an attack, the original target mends 1 health. That's helpful. So you can kind of say, like, you want to keep your True Faith characters alive, because they can do a lot of extra damage, but then the other characters can kind of sacrifice themselves. We have some attacks here. We're going to get 3 copies of, well, it's actually a reaction, sorry. Strength of the Fallen. Physical mental reaction. Pay 1 prestige, +1 defense for each of your burned characters. It already has 2, but it's to get very powerful. We have 3 copies of Know Their Habits. Pay 2 prestige. Each character in this party has +2 defense. 3 copies of Scope 3006. This is very interesting because I think this is the first card that's been ever repeated out of all the sets. I think this is back in the original core set. But it's nice because it's a gun, so it makes sense that it can also be used by hunters. But yeah, I think this is the only card that has been repeated between two different sets. So during your intel step, you may play this card face up as you attack to add +1 intel to this attack. We have 3 copies of Blaze of Glory. Pay 1 or +1 damage, pay 1 prestige, +3 damage. After this attack, burn this character only if the target is a monster. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you guys can jump and sacrifice themselves for monsters, definitely. Do some extra damage. Plus you get that burn, which will help you out. We have 3 copies of Speak in Tongues. Social attack. Pay 1 prestige. This attack does +1 damage to the target. If the target is a monster, 1 additional damage. So I like that they keep referencing the monsters, because it's, although this set is kind of hunters versus vampires, more or less. Again, if they make more hunter stuff, hopefully they have just hunter decks that come out. So you could play it 4 hunters against each other. 3 copies of Rabook. Social attack. If you have the library, you pay 1 to have +1 damage to the target. And if you have negate, pay 2 prestige to have +2 against monsters and antagonists. So I imagine you could pay 3 and do 3 total. And then our final 3 cards are Holy Water. Mental attack. Reaction: if the target is a monster, they do not attack during your end phase. If you have True Faith, okay, first card, other card we have has True Faith. I was hoping they have more of these. Pay 1 prestige, this attack does +2 damage to the target. Nice. So you kind of blessed the water. That is really fun. Alright, so we're going to look at the monster deck next and see what we have for all of our monster decks. Actually, let's look at our crypt next. Look at the crypt first. It's going to give us all the extra cards. Look at the monsters last, just because once we get into the regular crypt cards, they'll go pretty quick. So we'll get 2 copies, two brand new characters for each different group. So for Ministry, we have Raul Fontes. Attacker. This attack goes +1 to the target for each no influence in the defending party. And then we have Osio Gonzalez. Double the influence bonus from any title attached to this character. For Caitiff, we have Grace. Burn 2 cards in your discard pile. This character has +2 until his turn. Attacker. Discard the top 2 cards of your library. Target has -1 defense to this attack. And then we get Sage. This character exhausts, you may shuffle 1 random library card from your discard pile into your deck. Very nice. Then we have some new agendas for them. We have Go for Broke. At the start of your turn, if you control +1 ongoing scheme, gain 1 agenda. When a scheme you play succeeds, you do not pay an influence modifier during it, gain 1 agenda. Okay, cool. So this one's going to work with ongoing schemes. I think we had some that work with, like, conspiracies or just having face down cards. And then we have the Ash Heap of History. Exhaust. If there are 5+ cards in your discard pile, gain 1 agenda. If exactly 11 cards, gain 2 instead. So this is going to work with the Caitiff. Basically, yeah, if you can prep this up, you can keep gaining 1 like every turn for exhausting this, but if you can get that exactly 11 by manipulating how many you discard and how many you return, you could gain 2 every turn. That's pretty cool. Some new havens. We have the Hidden Temple. Your leader has +1 influence. Exhaust the Hidden Temple. Put a no influence token on target character. That would work with that other, that first character we saw very well. And then the Orphanage. If your discard pile contains 5+ library cards and none have a clan affiliation, exhaust the Orphanage. Gain 1 unhosted action. This is actually kind of neat. You can see where it would work very well at Caitiff because they don't have clan affiliation cards anyhow. But being the fact that anyone could manipulate around it, also can be used by hunters. It's kind of cool. I wish they would have then had them say like Haven / Hideout. Would have been kind of neat. Alright, so we're going to jump through a bunch of the ones we've already seen before. And so we'll just go through them. So we have Cobra Form, Dark Money. So you would have seen these in the first video. Snake Oil, Awe, Persecution. We did have 2 copies of One's Man Touch because we only had 1 before. And then the brand new ones we have kind of aimed at the vampires is we have 3 copies of Majesty, Unhosted Action Ongoing. Your leader has +1 influence for each presence they have. Exhaust. Target player cannot play influence monitors during steams. That's pretty cool. Alright, then we're going to look at our new hunters. So our Inquisitive. I keep saying investigative. It's Inquisitive. Rianka Gomes. Party. When a character in this party attacks a character, put +1 prestige from your generous supply on target. Very cool. And then we have Gina Frinzo. Hunter. When this character enters play, put 2 prestige from your general supply on target character or face down monster. And it just comes in with bonuses. For Faithful, we have Deacon Jones, who has True Faith. So we have another True Faith character you can play. Attacker, pay 2 prestige. This attack deals +1 damage to the target for each relic you control. Nice. And there's 3 relics in this, but you could get other potentially mixed with other stuff that has other relics in the future. Obviously, because it's a hunter, you can't use relics from the vampire stuff. Ingrid, this character plays a relic, gain 1 action. That's why they kind of left these guys out, because there's only the 3 relics right now. But in the future, they could definitely become better. Symbolic Meaning Agenda. The first time you defeat a monster during each your turn, gain +1 agenda for each relic you control to a maximum of 3. So again, playing with that relic thing. And then we have All Figured Out. At the start of your turn, if there's 4+ prestige of your color on a character and face down monsters, gain +1 agenda. Defeat a character, gain 1 agenda for every 2 prestige on them to a maximum of 3. Nice. So basically, the longer you take to actually take them out and the more stuff you spend, you can definitely get some more stuff. Of course, you might want to tag them so no one else can take them out, but that's kind of up to you. We do have some new hideouts. We have the Ferratory. When your leader exhausts, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a relic, draw it. Otherwise, leave it or discard it. That'll help you get some relics out. And the Bunker. Pay X prestige to prevent X damage to target character you control. They just protect themselves. Be very cool. Alright, then we have cards we've seen before. We have 1 copy of the Throne from the Crown, 2 copies of the Blood of St. Dominic, and 2 copies of the Bones of Apostle. So those are our relics. And of course, we always get 3 copies of every card. So, like, there's only 1 or 2 in the main deck. They're usually finished off in the crypt. Take careful notes. Found a weakness. Anonymous tip. Man's best friend. Social engineering. Then we have brand new extra card. We have 3 copies of the Wooden Stake. Physical attack. This deals +1 damage to an already wounded non-monster vampire. Move them into Tapor. Then attach this card to them. Tapor. This character does not get a free mend during their end phase, and this character leaves Tapor, burn this card. So that's kind of cool, because this one directly is saying you're playing this if you know you're going to be playing against the vampires. If you know you're going to be playing against hunters, you wouldn't bother to include this because you're just fighting monsters. It's not really worth it. But that's actually pretty cool. Have some cards that specify playing against the vampire characters. Awesome. Alright, then up next we have the monster deck, which I accidentally put everything in front of. So let's go ahead and look at our monsters. We have a ghost who has 6 health. These guys are actually quite beefy. They're a lot more beefy than most characters, but that's the whole point. You're supposed to take your time to take them out. Has +1 secrecy while wounded, so once it has half health, it's going to be harder to hit. And +2 damage against ranged or physical attacks. So this would be the whole thing. Is of like when you're playing Hunter versus vampires, and like a couple players are Hunters, some are vampires, like this set. You might attack the vampires more often, or vampires might attack the Hunters more often, because that's how you're going to win and do stuff. If you're just playing Hunters, you might actually potentially not attack each other terribly often, the other players as much. Other than maybe like, hey, quit trying to steal my kills. You might focus more on these monsters, because they're going to be more of a threat as well. Because you'll have more people, so you have more of them out. We have a Chupacabra. This is the first time that you deal attack damage to this monster. It steals 1 health from the attacker. Plus they're worth 2 prestige anyhow, so you take out a couple of these guys, plus your agenda, you could win a lot quicker. The Mulasem Cabraca, so that's the headless horse. This monster preemptive strike deals aggravated damage. The Marakaxi, +1 secrecy while wounded. Reactions cannot be played against the monster's preemptive strike. Now this guy's 7 health. That's as high as I think any vampire. Then they had one that had 8. I think 7 typically that were the highest. We have a sorceress. When you deal attack damage to this monster, discard 1 card. The Brain Eater. At the end of your turn, put a fear token on the lowest blood potency character in your cell. If tied, choose 1. Then we get even harder. Now we have 8s. Vampires. This is straight up vampire. At the end of your turn, if there are +2 city deck marbles in the streets, this monster mends 2. But now they're also worth 3. So look at that. They're going to be the Strange. Play with your hand of cards revealed for all players. The Warlock, who has 9 health. The attacker in parties of 3+ characters deal -1 damage to this monster. And then finally at 10, while wounded, this monster preemptive strike each member of the attacking party 1 at a time in the order of your adversary's choosing. I just want to point this out. For the sake of this, he has 10 health. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total health. Your entire group of Hunters in that one set only has 16 health total. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So again, these guys have less than 20 health total in their groups, and this guy has half of that health. Vampires are a little bit more resilient with 11, 16, 20, 24, 30. So they have 30. So your vampires total, again, that's even a comparison there. Hunters have under 20 total health for all 7 cards. Vampires have probably closer to 30. Some of these monsters at 8, 9, 10, they're almost half your decks. Or a quarter of your deck. So you can kind of see they're definitely threats. I definitely hope we get more later on. Alright, so we have a few other things to show off. First of all, we have the dividers. So we're going to have agenda, deck, your vampires, your hunters, your havens. I'm surprised it's not havens / hideout. Like, it would have been better if they had both, or just even hideout for maybe the other triggers, and then a special one for your monster deck. Then the last thing we want to go for with the set is actually have this giant stack of errated cards. These are cards they fixed at some point throughout the game, and they changed something on them. So I am going to do a quick pause in the video, grab the other versions of these cards so you can see the differences. Okay, quick end edit here. I was going to do a wrap up this video by showing off the errata cards and some other stuff, some promo cards, but this video has gotten a little bit longer than I thought it was going to do, so I'm actually going to move that into video part 3. So if you want to see the errata cards that come in the Hunters and Hunters boxes, which are again the cards from previous expansions that they just updated and fixed some of the rule text on, check out part 3. That's not something you're terribly interested in seeing because they're just old cards with slightly new text. You can go ahead and skip that. Otherwise, but I'm also in that video, I'm going to show off an updated filling of the box that came, the storage box, the official storage box, adding in this brand new set, and we'll see how full that is. So again, interested in that, check out part 3. If you just want to know the main card around the set, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye.